So today we are talking about the article that was written after the Boston bombing. It recapped events from the bombing, and it also sort of recapped the aftermath, what was going on, the chaos, but also the incredible show of humanity that was happening. So of course this was a terrible event, and many lives were lost and many people were injured. And it's crazy to think about that, but it's also crazy to think about everyone who was there to help. And this article really does a good job of showing and telling of the terribleness of the event, but also how incredible the people who were there were. So one of the things that the article stated that really stuck out to me was a quote from Mr. Rogers, who so many of us grew up watching. Said, "Look for helpers. You will always find people who are helping." And I think that that is so true. Maybe your situation isn't as terrible as this bombing was. Maybe it is something as terrible as this. But if you open your eyes and look around, there are always people who are willing to help. And I think this article did an incredible job of displaying just what people were willing to do to help the victims. So one of the things in Module 45 that was discussed was the bystander effect, and I think that that was very apparent in this situation. So a bystander effect is someone is either less or more likely to go and help other people if the people around them are or are not. And in this case, as soon as one person ran to help, many others ran to help as well. They ran towards the explosions when they saw someone go to help. Others followed. One person started trying to break down a barrier, and so they all worked together to take down this metal barrier so they could get to those who were wounded. And then, it's not just the people that were there, but technologists who saw what was happening and the chaos going on, formed all sorts of programs to connect loved ones who either had people at the bombing or people who were at the bombing who didn't know where their loved ones were. They worked to help these people. Another one is the social responsibility norm, which basically states that humans help no matter what. You see someone who's struggling and you help them because that's what's right, that's what's normal, that's how our brains are formed. And I think that that's true. You obviously see there's obviously risks that are involved with running towards people who are wounded in this. You never know if there's going to be another explosion or something like that, but they were willing to risk it because they knew that helping was the right thing to do. They carried the wounded away, or they used their own bodies to shield people from the chaos that was going on around them. And I think that this social responsibility norm kind of goes along with altruism, which is helping at a cost. And there are tons of examples for what this is. It could be volunteering at a shelter. You're doing this, but it's costing you your time, or you donate money to something. So obviously you're helping out, but it's hurting you in the sense that you're getting rid of some money. And I think that this is just a great example. The people that were there, the bystanders that were there, I mean, just a huge display of this. So there are a couple things that can affect this. Your upbringing has a huge part, and if you're altruistic, I don't know what word to use there, but your upbringing has a huge part in it, because your upbringing kind of affects your level of empathy and compassion. So if you have high levels of empathy and compassion, you're more likely to help people even if there's a risk to you or some sort of cost. And then also there have been studies, and I got this information from a Psychology Today article that says that the size of your amygdala also has something to do if you're altruistic or not. And while most cases altruism is a good thing, there are cases where it can be considered reciprocal, which means you're doing it in order to get a reward. You're doing it because it makes you feel good, or you'll think you'll get something in return for it. But the people at this terrible tragedy were not looking for a reward. They were just looking to help other people, even if it endangered them. And I think that that is incredibly amazing. And it's really interesting to see how people handle events like this, and how the people around them have such a huge impact on how other people handle it. If no one would have ran out, if the first person wouldn't have run to help, who knows if others would have followed, or if others would have went, or who knows if they just went because they were following what others had done. Regardless of the reason behind why so many people were willing to help, the fact that so many people were is just incredible, and I think it shows some very interesting characteristics that humans have and just how capable of good we are.